Welcome into UGA Football Live with JC Shelton, where the dogs come to talk. Hey guys, welcome in another episode of UGA Football Live with JC Shelton. If you're watching on the Pulse Sport Network on YouTube or listening wherever you get your podcast, we appreciate it. Got a former Georgia Bulldog on for you, and really a Georgia kicking legend, and we'll get into why that is here in a bit, but that is Marshall Morgan. Really appreciate you taking the time out, Marshall. You let me know before the call that you are local to Athens working right now, right across from Creature Comforts. How's that going, man? How are you doing?
Yeah, it's doing great. Athens is home. It's where my heart is. So I've been here since 2012 and don't plan on ever leaving. Got a third baby on the way now. So, starting to lay down the roots and starting to web out, got 3 kids and soon enough they'll be having kids. And it's just crazy. But yeah, life's great here. I'm working right across the street from Creature Comforts at Merrill Lynch. We're in downtown Athens. We can hear the Bulldog Stadium from here. So it's a great place to be, and don't plan on ever leaving.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And when you think about how many former coaches and players all live around the area, if not in Athens, right? It's that feeling, and a lot of these guys, they get out of the Georgia football, and it's home for them, and you're one of them. So I love to see that. When you look back at your career, I do want to hear about your recruiting first. We always do that. If you're a fan of the show, kind of get to hear that story about when you became a Georgia Bulldog, from Fort Lauderdale. Football is king in Florida as well as in Georgia. A lot of big programs in that state as well. So I'm interested to figure out why Georgia was that home for you.
Yeah. And that was the question that all my friends had too back in high school. Because I had never been out of the state of Florida when I lived there growing up. So when I got the offer from Georgia, they announced it on my high school PA system, and everyone's like, "Oh, Georgia, why are you going to go to Georgia?" And, because all the kids were going to go to FSU or UF or Miami. And, Coach Rick definitely played a huge, huge part of it. He's just a great human being. Everything he stands for, the way he coaches, he's just, he's like a father figure. So he definitely, you don't go somewhere for the coach, but it certainly makes a huge difference knowing that, that's who you're going to be with every day. And they can, rub off on the parents, which, will cause a little influence. But in my situation, it was, just love the school, love the atmosphere. I came here, people were nicer. The light turns green, they don't honk at you right away like they do in South Florida. Also, starting time. So I got to come in here right after Blair Walsh and, had the opportunity to start, which if I went to FSU or UF, where, those were like my top 3, I would have had to redshirt. So that was probably the biggest factor. But I just loved it here. I took my visit here, which that's a whole story in itself. It was classified as an unofficial visit because I lost my official visit rights because I kicked a water bottle on the field, and it was considered a game day simulation. So
what? Wait, what?
Yeah.
What is that even? What?
Yeah. So I'm sure, I don't know if you're aware, but like Isaiah Crowell, everybody knows that. He, I think he had the same situation for standing in like a formation with the lineman on his unofficial and taking a snap, and they consider that a game day simulation. And, they impose, some minor, like they don't let you take an official visit, which all that means is they can't really, they can't pay for your food or, your stay, but everything else is pretty much the same. So, so
go ahead.
I was going to say we were on the field in my situation, and, I'm asking Coach Rick and Coach Lilly, I'm like, I just took a visit to FSU. I go, they have the Seminole thing. I go, what's Georgia's thing? Is there like the Gators have the chomp? Like what did they do at Georgia? And so he, I guess, got a guy to cue up the game day kickoff signal where they're like, go. And he had me do my kickoff steps. And kick a water bottle because there was no, ball or anything. We weren't planning this. And I guess when I kicked it, Coach Rick, being, the good guy that he is, and I guess it was on his conscience, he, I guess, self-reported it, and they came back and said, yeah, it is a violation. So,
Wow.
yeah,
That is
crazy
so
story.
minute, man. That is so
Yeah.
minute. It gives you an insight of how regulated those things are, right?
Oh, it
And
is crazy.
yeah, there's no regulations on NIL, but you can't kick a water bottle and like
I'm
as a
I'm
recruit.
I'm sure it's changed now. I mean, I'd hope so, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So, you obviously you come to Georgia, from Florida, and your career, you look back and I say legendary is because you hold a bunch of records, and it kind of slips through people's mind, I guess, um,
Mhm.
because Georgia, as far as kicking standpoint, we had some great ones. But when you
Yeah.
look at the numbers, I mean, consecutive field goals made, 20 by you, 2013 to 2014 SEC record, Georgia record for most PATs in a career 215, Georgia and SEC record for consecutive field goals 20, Georgia record for longest road game field goal 56 yards.
Yeah.
That's a slew of numbers, man. We had Rodrigo on as well, and his numbers are really good, but I don't think he has these records as well. So I think you're taking over the kicker spot for UGA Football Live right now, man. You
Yeah.
have that career.
I was just trying to scatter my name all over there, but I
Yeah.
mean, can't compete with Rod. He surpassed all of us pretty much for the was it total points scored?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I think that's where he
Yeah.
got you. That's where he got you.
Yeah.
No, that's great numbers, man. And I think the offense during that time as well with Mike Bobo and stuff. Um, you had a lot of opportunities, right?
Yeah.
What is there one that sticks out to you that you think back at when you look at it with a smile, maybe have a dream of kicking that field goal, making it and going
Yeah.
off? What was that?
It was I mean, the one that really sticks in my mind is Neyland Stadium against Tennessee. This was 2013, and yeah, so we get there, and I just wasn't feeling good. My knee, I've never really had a true injury, I guess you could say, but my knee was really bothering me. I don't know if it was tendonitis or what, but it was the only game that before the game I'm like, should I kick? Um, but I was doing warm ups and I was kicking fine, even though it hurt. And so I think it was one of the first or maybe second drive of the game. 56. I thought it was a 57-yarder, but they put 56. 56 and a half yarder. They send me out there, and I'm like, I didn't even have time to think. So I'm like, okay, forget about any kind of pain or anything, and just drilled it. And I was excited, but after the game, I didn't realize it was the longest kick in that stadium, I guess.
Yeah.
And the funny part is growing up, one of my good buddies who I grew up kicking against was Michael Pilardi, who at the time was their kicker. So it was kind of like I could be like, hey man, I got, hold the longest kick in your stadium.
Yeah.
Um, but he's a great guy. He's actually, I think he's still kicking in the league, so good for him.
Yeah, that's incredible because Georgia still owns Neyland Stadium, and we just keep getting examples of why that is. And I
That's
love
right.
to hear it. I love to hear it. We have another opportunity to keep that streak going too this year. That's going to be a great game. Um,
Yes.
and one question I asked Rodrigo when he came on that I really want to hear from you is just, the kicking and pressure situations, because
Hmm.
sitting at home or whether you're at the game or not, it's all on one guy, right? Well, I mean, a couple guys involved in that, right? You got your snapper, your holder, but one guy makes the kick.
Yeah.
And when you think about it too, it's like a team game. Football's a team game. You have 11 guys on both sides, but sometimes it only comes down to that one guy kicking. Because even in
Yeah.
like a passing situation, you have the receiver, you have the quarterback, right? You have the running back, you have
Hmm.
the offensive lineman. You have the quarterback has to hand it off. The center has to snap it. But in
Yeah.
this standpoint, one guy makes contact with the ball. What was your routine in these high pressure situations, whether it's fourth quarter, OT, anything like that? Did you tell yourself something different than your regular, or was it all business? Go up there and do the same thing every time.
Um, I mean, it was do the same thing every time. I mean, I kind of during the games I'd kind of get into my zone. Like, outside of, game days, I'm, outgoing guy. I'm gonna, shoot the breeze, make you laugh, whatever. But during the game, like I didn't want to talk to anyone. Like some of the, other guys on the team would come over and just try to, some of the guys that weren't playing or whatever, they would just want to chat because, we're on the sidelines, most of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just like, I don't tell them to leave me alone, but I would just kick in my kicking net, and they'd kind of get the point. All right, he's in his zone. So yeah, right before a game-winning kick, the thing I hated is when people would come up to you and try to give you a pep talk or something. So because it made me feel like it was bigger than it should be, because I want to feel like it's the same kick every time, like you said. So I remember the Missouri game, Coach Rick came up to me and I was expecting some big pep talk. I'm like, oh man, just let me kick this thing. And he just comes and he goes, hey, I just want to tell you something. He goes, whether you make this thing or miss it, he goes, I love you. And I was like, oh man, that was nice.
Yeah, that shows what Mark Richt is, and a lot of his former players on this show have talked about that, and that doesn't surprise me at all. The way he interacts with his players and thinks about them first, almost it looks like from a personal standpoint, than it relates to football. I think that's an incredible part of why he was such a successful coach, and especially just a mentor to his former players. So many times I had guys talk about it. John Theus was just talking about him the other day as well. So you can't talk about Mark Richt in that aspect enough. So you set all these records at Georgia, right? And you get a chance in the NFL. I'm interested in what the differences was from a college football kicking standpoint to an NFL kicker standpoint. I know the field goals are narrow, right? The posts. What all goes into that, man? What was the differences there?
Really just, it goes from, it's almost like college is like it's a true team sport, college football. And then you get to the NFL and it's almost like it's individualized. Like each player is their own business owner. They're all wanting to promote their brand, their foundation. So it's not like, someone's not going to really, go out of their way to help you out unless it kind of benefits them, which is sad to say. But it's a total business. Yeah, I mean, it's business, and when there's guaranteed money involved, I mean, it's hard to make it. So, but I mean, I enjoyed the ride there at Buffalo. Went to Buffalo as an unsigned, undrafted free agent. Stayed there for a little while, got cut. I was actually fine when they cut me. I was like, all right, if you're going to cut me, I hope you're actually, bringing on someone cool. And so I found out I got cut so they could bring Reggie Bush on for a 1-year contract as a kick returner. And I was like, all right, if I'm getting cut for Reggie Bush, that's all right.
Yeah, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. Give that man back his Heisman.
Yeah, right.
But like when you competed for a spot there, what was that like? Did these guys just line you up and be like, you have to hit a certain amount from this yardage, whoever does the best? Was that kind of how do they decide in that area?
Yeah, it was it wasn't just like a 1-day thing. It was over, the course of, weeks and, a couple months where you're in the NFL, you only kick one of the days with the team, and then only one other day just, with you and the special teams coach. So, I mean, you're only getting 2 days of real practice in, which is kind of hard for me. And I know Rodrigo would probably say the same, because we just like doing a bunch of reps. And, obviously you don't want to be doing bad reps, but, I wanted to at least hit a few balls every day, or, more than 2 days a week. So yeah, well, to answer your question.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get some insight on it. That gives I think it gives us a good take.
And I'll add to that actually too. So they do chart. I mean, everything's, numbers. I mean, even in college too. So they're charting the whole entire time, hang times, because in their situation, they brought me in to try to, it would have been a huge money saver for them, because they had a guy on the roster that just did kickoffs, and then a punter, and then Dan Carpenter, the kicker. So they had 3 guys. If they're able to cut the kickoff specialist and Dan Carpenter, the field goal specialist, and bring in me, a rookie, that'd save them a ton of money. So I actually finished out, right before mini camp with about the same numbers as Dan Carpenter, if not a few better, but it wasn't enough of a margin to, cut him and give him that guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So you were training for both. Like you were trying to be kickoff specialist and the place kicker.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, from a kickoff specialist standpoint, did you ever take a big hit, man? Did you ever get rocked in any
Oh yeah,
college
man.
football or NFL?
Yeah, so it was against Nebraska, and we played them. We almost played them 3 times in
Mm-hmm.
the bowls. I know we played them twice, but I think it was it might have been the Belk Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And kick returner, I mean, he was built like a brick house. I mean, he was just coming. He was like Nick Chubb kind of build, just coming at me. And I looked at him and I saw him going through the gap, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm gonna run at him." So I started like trying to just absorb it. Like, so I would like backpedal as he's running at me, and then I just kind of like whatever that WWE wrestler is, I just tried to like just take him down, and luckily I guess I tripped him up enough, but yeah, it didn't feel good.
You tried to RKO him?
Yeah, exactly. Was it Steve Austin?
Yeah, was that him or was it Randy Orton? Which
Randy
one am I
Orton.
Yeah,
Randy Orton. Yeah, that's the one you see the memes where they.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that honestly, that sounds like a better way than taking 225 pounds to the stomach, because that's probably you probably wouldn't have got low enough for that guy. Dude's
Well, the coaches would always tell me, it's so funny because after film, they always tell me, "Hey, you're a kicker. You don't need to be doing these tackles." Because I would always try to get in there. I was a defensive end growing up, and but of course during the game, once you do it and you're the last guy saves it from a touchdown, they love it. So it's like they cheer you on and praise you, and then the next day they're like, "Hey man, you don't need to do that." All right, I'll let him go by. Sorry.
Yeah, what the hell? That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when you're thinking about that. Anything let's think. So Georgia, obviously the recent success is incredible. And as a former player, I'm sure it hit home for you. What was that experience like in 21 when Georgia was able to pull it out?
Oh, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, everyone's, this is where I live, in Athens. I, work in downtown Athens. So, I mean, it's just the whole city just lights up. I mean, you look out your window, you see all the red and black, and feel like everyone's just in a better mood. Yeah. Gives you something to talk about with everybody. So, I mean, it's great. I mean, couldn't be more proud right now to be a Dog.
I know. And that second one felt a little different to me. I'm interested in what you felt. It was almost too quick for me. I was like, we can't even enjoy the first one, and we were having another one. So now it's like, what do I think now? Right?
Yeah, that one. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, leading up to it, there's the playoff game. I think it was on New Year's Eve night, and we're all sitting there in the living room. Got all my extended family here. We got 3 babies sleeping upstairs. And when that Ohio State guy missed that kick, I mean, we flipped out. Babies are crying, fireworks going off. I mean, it was nuts. And then the TCU, I mean, that was just a bloodbath.
Yeah, that was incredible. But we started celebrating 10 minutes into the game.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I was expecting an Ohio State all over again, and that my heart just couldn't take it. I think that's why it didn't happen. God just knew that all the Georgia fans' hearts were already on edge. We were going to explode if we had to go through overtime again. So they were like, "You know what? Here you go. Just tear up the Big 12. Welcome to SEC ball, buddy." Yeah, right. I loved it, man. I loved it. Well, hey, last thing, I will let you go. Last thing, if you had a future kicker, future Georgia Bulldog kicker, college football kicker, whatever you may have, what is one piece of advice you give to him as a former guy who's really a Georgia kicking legend here?
I would tell them that, everybody's going to tell you you're just a kicker. You're a lot more than a kicker. You're a valuable asset to the team. They may not tell you that, your teammates or your coaches yet, but, all it takes is that one big kick in a clutch situation. And I think, you'll get the respect you deserve. But also to let them know that, it's an 80% mental game. So, just focus on your craft, focus on, your mental health, and stay positive. Take it kick by kick. You miss one, don't get down on yourself, make the rest. So
yeah, I love it. Great piece of advice, guys. Listen up if you're going to be a kicker or what have you in college football at all. It's always some good advice there. Keep your mental health.
Right there.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah, you come to UGA Football Live for that. We really appreciate the time, Marshall. You've been great. Take care, man. Go Dogs.
I appreciate it. Go Dogs.